1975, a small wooden boat loaded with Vietnamese refugees drifted into the West Philippine Sea. The people on board were running out of food and water. Among the refugees are the family of Anne. Anne helplessly observed her parents. Her mother was growing weaker as the days passed. Her father, once an experienced fisherman himself, has exhausted his survival knowledge and is also becoming physically weak as the days pass. Silently, she prepared herself for the inevitable. Before we go on with the full story, I also want to draw your attention to a product that I have recently purchased and found to deliver its promise. Full disclosure, I earn a commission if you purchase this product, which supports this channel. So let me ask you one question. Have you ever wondered what your soulmate looks like? I did, so I ordered a sketch from a psychic and got it within 48 hours. I was amazed by the result that my hair stood on its ends when I viewed it because the face in the sketch is spookily similar to the appearance of my partner, and we've been living together happily for 25 years already. That night we dined out. We rarely dine outside, only on special occasions. She kept asking me, "What's the occasion?" I simply answered her, "It's a secret." I winked at her and she gave me that puzzled look. When we arrived home, I handed her the sketch without saying a word. "Who drew my face?" she blurted out. If you're curious too, check out the link in the video description to order yours. And so back to the story. Anne and her mother used to work in the American Embassy canteen. After the fall of Saigon to the communist, Anne's family are facing certain death because of their association with the Americans. The communist does not pity fellow countrymen who associate themselves with the foreign invader. They detest so much. Rather than face certain deaths from the communist, their family decided to embark on a very risky journey to seek refuge in another country. Anne closed her eyes in retrospect. Her life played before her imagination. Then the loud sputtering of a boat's motor brought back Anne to reality. The bow of a coming boat met her surprised stomach. The people on the Vietnamese boat waved their hands frantically to attract the attention of the people on the boat. The men on the bow of the boat had seen them, and they were heading in their direction. The people on board extended their hands to help the refugees to board their boat. Anne realized they were being rescued by men, speaking in a foreign language she could not understand. In broken English, the men explained they are Filipino fishermen. The fishermen provided them with food and water. The fishermen asked them where they came from. Anne narrated their story to them. Rommel, the youngest among the fishermen, listened to Anne attentively as he was the one who had a good command of the English language among the fishermen. Knowing the harrowing experience they have gone through, the fishermen offered to take them to a refugee camp that the Philippine government had set up for Vietnamese refugees that have been flocking the Philippine shores lately. Anne gratefully accepted their generous offer. The boat navigated the seas for days until finally, they reached the shores of the Philippines. A wave of relief washed over Anne as she stepped on solid ground. True to their word, the fishermen accompanied them to the refugee camp. There at the refugee camp, Anne and her family found asylum. They easily adapted to their new life. Days passed uneventfully until one day, gloom overtook the family when Anne's father fell ill and passed away. Anne and her mother were devastated, but Anne knows she needs to be tough to carry on. Anne looked for work to supplement the meager allowance that they received from the United Nations. In her search for job, she found out that there are people who devoted their life in supporting other people in distress. A Catholic nun she met offered to give her a chance to work in a Vietnamese restaurant set up by their religious organization to provide refugees with some form of livelihood. At the restaurant, Anne and her mother work as cooks, and her life returns to normal. Her passion for learning, her craft paid off when she was appointed as the restaurant's chief. With her appointment as chief also comes better salary. With this new development in her life, Anne found fulfillment and enjoyed her newfound life in the Philippines. One day while Anne was shopping for supplies in the wet market, she saw a familiar face. It was one of the fishermen who rescued them at sea. She remembered his name very well. It was Rommel. When Anne and Rommel's eyes locked, Anne embraced Rommel involuntarily out of appreciation for saving her family's lives. Anne learned from Rommel that he lived in a neighboring village and that fishermen usually sell their catch in this market. For the first time after their rescue, Anne noticed Rommel's extraordinarily expressive eyes, which complemented Rommel's handsome face. She found Rommel so attractive that she involuntarily stole secret glances at Rommel's face. More meetings between Anne and Rommel followed after that. They came to know that they are both fond of cooking. Rommel excels in the kitchen too. Her mother has ingrained in him the culture of excellent cooking. Leisurely walks in the park became common for the two in the days that followed. Their conversations reveals more of their true personality. The imaginary form of Rommel began intruding into Anne's reverie, which caused Anne to ponder on her true feelings for Rommel. However, she denied it. The truth speaks loud. She had fallen for Rommel. Rommel became a regular patron of the restaurant where Anne worked. To Anne's delight, they became closer to each other. Then news got out that Vietnamese refugees would be repatriated to the Western countries. The refugees were directed to prepare for their eventual repatriation. Anne told Rommel about the news tearfully. Both Anne and Rommel were devastated. An air of gloom permeated the restaurant's atmosphere that day. Against time, they began searching for legal ways for Anne to stay in the Philippines for them to be together. Their frantic search led them to a Philippine lawyer for advice. Years had passed. On the same shores that Anne first landed in the Philippines, a boy aged 8 and a girl aged 6 were playing on the shores collecting seashells. Their curiosity was drawn by the different forms and colors of the seashells. Their playful curiosity was temporarily interrupted by a middle-aged woman calling her grandchildren for breakfast. The middle-aged woman was Anne's mother. The boy and the girl were Anne and Rommel's children. The result of a hasty marriage between Rommel and Anne after following the advice from the lawyer. Anne obtained her Philippine citizenship as a result of her marriage to Rommel. Anne and Rommel happily raised their 2 children in the Philippines. Rommel and Anne's Vietnamese Filipino progeny became a part of the wider Philippine tapestry of mixed culture.